Everybody, thank you for being here, and welcome back to Benton. Today, we are going to be exploring the effects of a second highway connection on the city, and we're also going to be opening up the island to the east of our starting peninsula. So the starting area is virtually complete. I may change some buildings or add some trees or something, but it's essentially complete. But there is this island that I keep referring to the east of it. Today, we'll be expanding onto that island, and I've already taken the liberty of adding a single-point urban interchange, one of the smallest / most efficient service interchanges that I know of, at least. I've got several videos on how to build it. This particular one I built over on Twitch on a live stream, but I have videos about how to build it if you're curious. But we're going to be using that interchange to open up the island, grow the population, and also add some connectivity to the current peninsula. There are going to be some bridge connections and an alternate way to get on and off the highway, and we'll see if that alleviates any of the traffic concerns on our starting area. Everybody, thank you for being here. I'm YUMBL. Let's build Benton. As you can see, I've already unlocked this tile so that I could install this interchange. We're going to have to unlock this one because I think this is where the majority of the southern part of the island is where we're really going to be building today. So I figured let's start by doing this. $9,000. Just look, we have $3 million. So I am absolutely not worried about it. That money kind of becomes almost irrelevant at some point in the vanilla structure of things. Though I still have to pay for stuff, I have so much money that buying a new parcel is trivial almost. So I've got this 6-lane road. I'm using this due to lane math. I may swap this out for something else, but I thought it also looked kind of nice going in towards the center of this interchange. Hopefully we'll get to see this hit with some traffic at some point. I haven't set up a traffic light or anything, but if you're curious about this, check out my other single-point urban interchange or SPOOey videos on YouTube, of course. What we're going to do is extend this down, though. We're going to take that same road, 6 lanes, and we're going to bring it down until it aligns with this. These are 90'd off of one another, so this is a 90-degree angle. It's more perfect than it needs to be, probably, but I think it'll look nice by the end. Let's actually get rid of these trees, because... Ooh, another rock. Yes. Something to work around. We're going to be using the geography of the island, so the coastline and that rock and the location of the highway to make some decisions here. But what I'm going to do right now is use move it to just kind of get rid of the trees. What trees I want will be added back later. That's fine. We are not going to need this rock. Okay. Story of my life. These are all considered buildings. So I think maybe I'll work around that rock as well. As a complement to this park here, we might have something else kind of cool in that area. These count as buildings, so let's clean them up. Oh, not the big one. So let's do a bridge. I've been using this 4-lane, no parking road from the Steam Workshop. This is part of the Vanilla Plus pack. But this was always going to be a bridge. At least it became clear to me from near the beginning that this would eventually become a bridge. So I'm going to let it do those cool bridge, what's it called? Structures. Let's see, we are about 10 units from the coast. So let's make that happen. And we'll go right to the edge here, 66 units. Yeah, about 65, 66. And then we'll go 10 units back to ground so that it's somewhat symmetrical. Nice. That looks really good. We won't be able to fit a boat under here, so in the future, if we find that our boat line... Yeah, okay, the boat line goes right through there. Eventually, I'll have to address that. I might use move it to make it a bit taller. The pillars fell in a nice spot, though. We can fit a bridge, we can fit a boat under there. Or I could swap it out for another bridge entirely. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. Let's just keep on going. So now this one should remain grounded, and we'll be able to connect this to the highway. Wow, it didn't even break the grid. What a vanilla triumph. Cool. I also want to connect this area, too. So the southernmost part of our peninsula and our northernmost part will both have really great connections to this new area. Something that I see a lot of people do in terms of having traffic issues. I see a lot of posts on Reddit and questions in the Discord about like why is my highway backing up? And it's because there's no connections like this in many cities. People want to force cars onto the highway and off the highway. Really, it's extremely important to connect starting areas to future areas independently of the highway. So don't over-rely on the highway to make it work for you. There should be local roads as well and local road hierarchy. So just something to keep in mind. Look at that. 10 units away, give or take, maybe 11. We'll do another 10-unit road there. We're just going to go off. I imagine these will connect to one another shortly here as well. And we'll just kind of make it symmetrical. We'll go right to the edge here. Not quite there. There. That is the spot. Similar. And another... Ooh. Another 10 units to get to ground. That's fine by me. And that'll get us back to this road here. Oh, goodness. So now we've got both of our connections complete to this new area. Just to show you where traffic's at right now, it's like fine. This roundabout feels unnecessary. I think that was a bit of a mistake last episode. I might even sever that connection entirely. But before I do that, I would like to compare what happens if we add this this second highway connection to feed this area. This may be the fastest way for certain cars to make it from, say, these two highways into this lower area where there's a lot of high-density housing. So right now the traffic percentage is at 86, which is not bad. Heavy emphasis on these 3 spots because this is the only way into the city until now. I'm going to let the game run for a little bit and see how that connection affects the traffic in this area. If you want to know who's really enjoying themselves today, it's Little House. Look at that, beautiful. With the antenna, tell you who has great connectivity, Little House. They get all the channels there. Or maybe it's a ham radio. I don't know what they're doing, but either way, it's kind of sketchy, but kind of beautiful. Little House has a new connection to the new area. And also, check out the view, except for the water pumps. But they are going to have a beautiful view of whatever gets built over here, so let's make sure it's at least somewhat palatable, right? So here's what I'll say about the traffic numbers. It's probably similar. Oh, 88. I guess it's gone up slightly. 87. There's certainly a non-zero value of traffic traveling through here. So there's I would say dozens of cars per minute are passing through this side. And every car that comes in over here is a car that's not coming in this entrance. So there's nothing bad about that. That's a very good thing. Synergize that with once there's another connection over here, and then we've got a powerhouse where no longer is this the only spot to come into the city. So it's definitely helped. Nothing overly dramatic, but every single vehicle helps. What I'd like to start with here is connecting, sort of doing the same thing we did to this shoreline. I don't know what's going to happen on the shoreline. I'm less worried about that right now. Let's not get lost in the details, and let's kind of just see what happens when we make these connections. Very similar to what we did on this side, right? So that looks good. This is a good area to build in. This area will be buildable too. So let's follow... Ooh, maybe this goes vertical for a second. I love how that side curves also. Let's see what this looks like if this goes out a little ways. Yeah, sure. So I'll respect the angle of the coast there. This one goes up a bit, and then I'd love to have it curve around this corner, I think. So just up to there. How close are we? 6 units there. 7. Yeah, that's good. So we'll use the curved road tool to complete that. Looking good. Complementing the other side nicely, I'd say. Now down here, there's a rock there, and I think we're going to miss it with the big road. Or perhaps the big road swings out, because the next area that's going to get connected is this one. But maybe it stays along the coast here. Yeah, this will be the coastal road. We've got this area unlocked, so we can establish that today. That'll be nice. You can see we have a lot of residential demand, and we will take care of that. But first, I just want to see how this all sort of connects. Now this road, the 4-unit road, how's traffic doing? This is terrible. Honestly, a lot of you said to move the industry outside of the ring, and I probably will. By the ring, I mean the ring of highways that came with the map, and I probably will. But for now, I'd rather not mess with the industry mojo. I'd rather get more residential in and let people commute to the industry, and that's all fine with me. So let's see where this connects. Assuming that this is going to go down the coast, because it is, it's probably going to originate about here. Is it a curved bridge? I feel like curved bridge, you don't see them as often as other bridges. So I feel like it's not going to be a curved bridge in this situation. Just eyeballing this out, a lot like in the first episode. Yeah. Something like that. Nice. Nice, yep, I'll stick with that for now. This will go down and ultimately connect with that situation there, hopefully. Just missing the rock. This is a different rock, not the same rock. Just to be clear. I'll just go too far and then use Anarchy to connect this and delete the whatever's left over. That's fine. And that sort of gives a point. Oh, I would love it if this were the end point of that. Here, let's try it again. So straight down. Maybe it curves beforehand. Let's see if we can't use Freeform Road Tool and just get a little bit of a curve on it, aiming for this side of the road. This side of the quest thing. Subtle curve, you love to see it. All right, elevated, going across. Past the ruins, there we go. The scenic drive. I'm probably going to keep the ruins. I'm not too keen on doing too much with the shoreline on this, because I don't want to overdo the mod type stuff. I feel like shorelines really lend themselves to doing heavy detail, and I just don't want to get hung up on them right now. I feel like that's where I'm at. Well, that looks good. Cool. So this will easily follow the shoreline down and ultimately connect to this area. Let's see what the small road does here. Still sticking with our suburban road here. Maybe this comes off at an angle. Yeah. Nice. So let's figure out how these two friends shake hands. It's a metaphor. I'm going to be sure to keep it grounded. This is actually a bit of a hill, so we'll have to keep that in mind with all this. Maybe it's kind of like that, but we end up curving it at some point. Okay, okay. Let's see what that does. It would be nice to put a feature on the end of this, because this will be facing inwards toward the other areas of the city. So it would be nice to be able to look out at things that are nice, and also to be able to look back in at something nice there. Does that mean a park? Does that mean something else? I'm not sure yet, but I think there's good ideas that are in there. Or maybe this curves. I did curve it down there. Perhaps this curves. Let's go 8 units by 8 units. And I'm just going to move it and curve this in. Looks nice to me. This might be a road. Let's not overdo it on that. That's good for now. I feel like this angular bit, roads don't really do that in real life typically. There's not like a sudden boom. Usually there's a curve like this, some sort of graded angle. But maybe it connects, or maybe that's the entrance, or there might be a reason for that. We'll come back to it later. Let's think on what these areas are going to be. Let's grow the population a bit. I've been looking at this area on the western side of the island and thinking about where roads are going to connect and what's going to happen. And I made some decisions based on, well, this marker is based on that there. So that is, if we ever want to make that connection, we can. But the way that I do it might be surprising. But I wanted those to be totally straight across from one another. That's good. I'm not going to do that yet. But and I was thinking about midway on this plot here. Let's just take the angle, whatever angle this is, and use that to inform this area. I think that'll be really cool. In fact, I'm going to leave this marked for now. I'm just going to go 40 units in, and that's cool. Against this angle, which will be coming in at some point, no doubt. So I'll leave a, leave a bit of a marker there, because I think that's going to happen. I might lift that up so it's not in the flood zone. But yeah, I want to get some angles against this, much like how over here we used this angle to inform this whole grid. I don't want this to all be 90'd. I'd like to break it up with some unique angles and then try to connect those angles in unique ways, just to make it visually appealing, right? Just to make it a little nicer looking, frankly. And maybe on this thing, 38 units, so about the midway point, maybe a little less than midway, 18 to 20. I might allow these two areas to connect. Yeah. And then we 90 off of that. That makes sense, sorta. But I at least like how that works. And that gets us up into this area, and that connects here. Okay. Lightning bolts. Inspiration is the hardest part of this game, in my opinion. Once you get the mechanics down, it's all about like how how do you come up with what you build becomes the main concern. So now this area, let's ensure that this stays grounded. I don't really want to mess with like bridges on land or anything. How long is this connection? 35. So maybe 12. Und 12, something like that. Let's leave a larger space in the center, maybe. Yeah. Cool. So that's thirds, give or take, approximately. Right? Something like thirds. And that will give this area good connectivity to this area through this intersection, but we're not going to run the highway through this section of town, I don't suppose. Maybe this continues up parallel. Or maybe it doesn't. Let's think about a couple things. I'm going to build some big buildings here. So this is clearly going to be... You remember how I said the little house has to look across at this? They're going to be looking across at some large buildings, but that's okay. That's to be expected. I'm also going to do a bit of commercial along here so they have some place to shop. The question becomes, do I do high-density commercial there? I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. Let's do low density for now. And then stack high density along here. They are also going to need services and schools and things like that. And I know that we also have a police demand currently. So looking at our city vitals, this is just a mod that lists off all the stuff that's in the menus here in one space. Very handy. Electricity is fine, water, sewage, so utilities are fine. Garbage is trash. I've even seen some houses that have trash problems. Maybe we'll work on that today too. Everything seems fine. Fire is probably not very good right now. but police, as in jails, are currently in the tank. So I think building a police station over here is a sensible move. Our fire situation is not ideal, but it's okay. As long as trucks can reach these areas, it's fine. But let's do a police station initially, at least to get the jail count up. Let's see. I feel like these have 20 vehicles per thing. Or excuse me, 20 prison spots per thing. To be specific. I'm going to put it right there, right off the big road. So our jails, still not optimal. I could also go with the higher density jail building for the island. Let's forego this. Let's not do that. And we'll do the larger police building, the headquarters, and we'll put that right off the main road here, which gives them good connectivity to all areas. Yep. That works for me. We'll let this grow in a little bit. I'm not sure how we're going to divide this area. Oh, how about getting power across the way here? I might run some temporary power lines until we've... until something else happens. Let's do some power lines. I'd rather not build a whole separate grid for this area. This is the closest spot, so we'll just sort of fly across here. We'll call that good. Hopefully it connects here. Hopefully there's a house that grows in that gets these grids unified. And hopefully this works out too. So let's do some commercial along the way here. And along the way here. That'll give us connectivity. High density commercial is kind of special because it's so loud. I would really like to do low density commercial along these main avenues rather than high density, because it's just a traffic machine. Water is going to be important also. In keeping with what I've been doing, I'm going to just send one of these across. And I'm kind of going to build down this road, but that's probably not going to last forever. Don't get your hopes up. I'm less interested in building pipes under road. Eventually the pipes are all going to go away. I respect your decision if you choose to play with pipes under roads at all times. I don't care. For myself. Says the guy who just built a bunch of pipes under roads. But yeah, that will cover what we've done so far. Here's where we deviate. Very nice. We'll send this one down also for the buildings that may accumulate in this block. And we'll also go up here for now. Sort of complete the picture for this side. And that gives us what we need for now, except for this. Neat. Alright, commercial demand is going up. And we got a bunch of the same building, but that's fine. That's just that Growable's life. That's how Growables work, it seems. Our jails are teetering on the edge of sanity, but that's fine. And our high school availability has just gotten a little bit questionable. So perhaps the next move can be to establish a high school over here. And also maybe a library. I do like a good library. Institute of Creative Arts is a high school. Or a high school type building, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. The Institute of Creative Arts. I'm sensing it's going to go in here. That feels right to me. That it might as well happen in this area. Looks good to me. Even that is fine. The guardrail goes into the ground, but you know. Here, let's raise this up a little bit. I'd like to terraform as little as possible, but I do want to raise this up just enough so that the path isn't in the ground. Nice looking building, well protected by the PD. I'm sure they'll have some unique interactions. That's fine. And maybe their own elementary school too. Community school. So we'll do the Green Cities School. on the corner of the road here. Very nice looking asset as well. Great, so this area is a bit more established now. The solution to trash that I'm going to do eventually will be using the custom, or sorry, not custom, but the waste transfer facility and the waste processing complex. This does have pollution, but it's a lot less than putting simply like an incinerator in the neighborhood. So the waste transfer facility is for the neighborhoods here. And then that is picked up by the waste processing complex, which will go undoubtedly on the outskirts somewhere. The processing complex is very loud and very dirty, whereas the transfer facility is kinda loud and sorta dirty in comparison. Pollution of 10, noise pollution of 25, compared to pollution of 250, noise pollution of 100. So this one can coexist with buildings to a degree. How does that compare to the recycling center? Because I know we put a recycling center up here that has noise pollution of 10 and pollution of 25. So this is kind of flipped. Pollution of 10, noise pollution of 25. So this is louder but less dirty than a recycling center. We'll think on that in a second. For now, let's go back to 1 speed and see how this area can develop. I don't know if this is ever going to connect directly. That feels like a mistake waiting to happen here if I connect that. But I don't mind doing this. That feels right to me. And I don't mind continuing this up to wherever. And then this 19 units. Let's do that. And connect that. That's all good. Let's leave an open spot for this bit of town. Just an opening for something to be determined. That looks good to me. That looks good to... Oops. Nice. Lots of density coming in over here. This road will also get a connection, I think. I like that. And a bit more low-density commercial along this spot here. I'm actually not going to put it on the edge of this road. Yeah, I don't want it to build facing this road. Oh, we have a very close node there. If you see all these cars making a move right before the intersection, that's actually not really great. Yeah, it's right next to it. So what I'm going to do is remove this, and we're just going to redraw it. If you see cars doing crazy moves, please save them by rebuilding it. And now we should have a much more balanced, yeah. It was about here before, so we moved it back 4 units. That's good. You can do that with Move It. You can do that by deleting segments and redrawing them. There are other mods to add nodes. I like to do it that way, though. All right, let's 3-speed for a little bit, and we'll see what grows in, and we'll see what kind of help they need. Great. I think everything is progressing pretty naturally. Demand is flat, which is generally what I like to see. It means that I haven't overzoned or underzoned too much of the city at this point. That looks good to me, actually, so forget about the big area and get hip to whatever that is, because that exists now. Let's continue on. Oh, I added a park also. I threw in a park just to increase property value over here. In fact, let's build on the waterfront here, or, you know, something approximating the waterfront, and let's throw in another park for this area, just dedicated to this area. Yep. Thusly, that looks nice. And then perhaps we'll zone the rest of this. Quite the dense little spot, if I do say so myself. So now that we've done this, let's look into maybe a couple high-density commercial buildings here. Because there's no houses next to it, so clearly they won't be bothered by the noise pollution. We'll start with that. get this too. Maybe across the road as well. Let's see if this grows in. The houses are ripe and ready to grow in, and so is high density commercial. Hopefully we even have enough college graduates to support this. That's a nice looking asset. Okay, those are growing in. Something I'd like to do as an experiment as well. Take a look at the walkability we have here. People are more than willing to walk and or bike these bridges. So that's a lot of... There's a lot of Sims not taking cars, which is good. Just a testament to how far they'll walk. They will totally walk from area to area if you give them good connectivity. This one less so, but there's really less to walk to on this side. So mainly they're going to be using this to get up to maybe this park or maybe this school. What I'd like to do, I have this bike lane. Of course, we could use the vanilla bike path, but I think I have a separate, probably this one. Unless I have the Plus version. Not right now. So let's try this one out. This one's by Chameleon. I don't know that I've ever used this in a city, but rather than connecting this somewhat major road to this with another road, I'd prefer to try it with a bike path. So maybe starting there, and we elevate. Or here, let's just send it and see what it decides to do. And we'll see if I like it or not. Right up edge to edge. Oh, I'm going to have to take the ships into account. This may disappear once we start doing ships, now that I think of it. Because if the shipping ships come through here, they're not going to make it under that. There is no way, because they're not even going to make it under the auto bridge. They might make it under the vanilla, the original bridge that came with the map. But my theory is that bikers would love to use this. Let's go 3-speed and see if anyone decides to. But I think it's a reasonable move. Or if it makes more sense to just do a pedestrian bridge, I'll do that. But like light to flies, we should see cyclists rocking this thing. There we go. Yeah, they like it. Cool. I'll leave that for now, just as an additional local connection so that our arterials don't get bogged down with cars. There's certainly room for that periodically, depending on what the ships do. But I like that as a concept. So let's continue building up into this area. Ah, we have a bit of industry/office demand. I have a sneaking suspicion that that's actually office demand, so we're going to build offices in this section. Just for a bit of intel on that. 12% of the populace is highly educated. This area will be highly educated. Right now, it's definitely not. They barely have any elementary education, but they have a school in their neighborhood, so they'll be fine. The high schools are pretty well covered. That's good coverage. This area might deserve their own, or there might be one that appears over here. But this is good so far. And university is keeping up. I don't know if I'll build a university for this area, because people can travel for that. That's okay. We're also kind of bordering on needing transit. I don't think we actually need transit just yet. But when we do, we will have it. How far is that? 11 units. Let's see how this works out. So connect that there. These two roads probably go up. No, that's fine. That works for me, actually. That's good. And we'll go 11 more units, which will put us right under the highway. We are going to have people that are able to see the highway from their bedroom. Is where this is really going. Ooh, right up against it. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay with me. So let's do a curve here. Similar to how we did a curve on this side that sort of follows that. Let's do a curve. So we'll go up by maybe 5 units, and then we'll do a 6x6 curve, which will give us our 11 units away evenly. So this is 11 units up. 6 units. Yeah, that works for me. People can walk here if they want. If I want to get crazy, I'll add a... I do have a highway that has sound barriers. Yeah, why not? Throw up the sound barriers. We'll let people walk along the edge. That is good. Nobody's getting hit. Nobody gets hit in this game anyway, and it shows. But that further drives home the realism, I suppose. We are right there. That's okay. We're never going to zoom in on this again, so... There's no reason to pick it apart that close if you're building with vanilla progression, in my opinion. There's no benefit to it. But that's a good little area. I might do shops along this. Let's do that, actually. Let's do shops... Maybe not. Let's at least do paths. I think it's perfectly reasonable to do just normal paths along this section. Just at the ends of the roads. So that if people want to walk along the big road, they can. That's good too. Because eventually they might be able to cross this. There's a chance. There's a good chance. Let's see what it looks like with stores facing this way. I just know we're going to have a lot of commercial demand. And if it looks really, really bad, I'll undo it. I just know I really don't want traffic stopping on this entry road. I truly do not want deliveries occurring on the major highway connection. Very nice. One for you. This area will get them as well. I'm not loving that. Whatever this is doing is kind of not great. So I'm going to elevate this node to object height to that one. Oh god. This may end up going under. I don't know that for a fact yet, but it may end up going under someday. Are these well employed? 6 out of 6, 6 out of 6, 6 out of 6. When those level up, I guess that'll be the real test of if and how much office space the city requires. So continuing down this way. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that connection. I want it to stay grounded. The elevation's a bit funky, but we'll make that connection happen. And we will allow this connection to happen too. About the same on either side, yep. Looking even, looking balanced. Basically the same thing we did in this section was just done here. That gives us this connection. Things to think about. Let's do stores, high density stores along here. And offices in this area here. So maybe across from the elementary school, we'll do offices. And maybe on this side, we'll do offices as well. Things to think about. Let's see how this grows in first. Also, I haven't noticed any service issues lately. Somehow trash has caught up, apparently, based on the markers. I don't see any trash markers. Every now and then I'll get an education marker, but I think those will go away. Like, every now and then a commercial building will say that there's not enough educated workers. But I think we're okay for now. I love that there's shopping for this neighborhood. I think that's a really good thing. So that they don't have to leave the neighborhood to get a sandwich or some groceries. Like, I want that for myself. I'm jealous of... Just put shopping right next to residential, please, for all of time. I live in Northern Virginia in the US, and they're actually really expanding big time with mixed-use areas. So there will be entire mixed-use developments that happen, and it's a really good idea. It becomes a destination for a lot of people. So people can work in the offices, they can live in the residential. This is not news for many parts of the world, but my part of the world is getting hip, and I appreciate it. Very nice areas. I still have to drive. I don't live in one of these areas. I live more in a city that's actually a town. And it's sort of mixed use by default. There's shopping within walking distance of me, because it's kind of a smaller town in the DC area. But the mixed use developments are destinations for sure. If you want to go out to eat, if you want to park your car and go walk around, perfect. Truly perfect. And here are the houses that can see onto the highway. Hopefully the noise pollution... Yeah, it's fine. They can handle it. I put up a noise barrier. Look at that. The noise barrier is saving the day. It's like a pizza party to an office. Just really rejuvenating to everyone. I do like the road layout here, so that's good. Let's do more... Really, we're going to need more industrial at some point, so that will be fun to do an entire industrial area. But let's figure out the water right now. What's wrong with the water? We don't have enough of it is the main problem that we face. It would be super cool to move these to a different location entirely. But for now, I think I'm just going to add some extra clout to each of these. Our water and sewage are just slightly off. Hopefully this doesn't... The noise pollution is probably really bad for these houses, and eventually I'll address that. For now, I'm just going to piggyback off the infrastructure we already have and pretend like those houses don't care. And, oh, the water budget was cranked. Now maybe it doesn't need to be cranked to 150. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work for now. Cool. I'm going to think for a moment, and then we'll start developing this little spot here. I've been keeping an eye on the trash situation, and it's really not been doing too great, and I think now is the time to figure it out. I've never directly compared the waste transfer facility to the other trash buildings, but what I'd like to do is start by placing that there. Position is subject to change, but I think that'll be a good spot overall for both areas. And I would like a second waste transfer facility. It's actually going to replace... Yeah. We're going to replace this recycling center. And that's going to have to go away. And probably part of this block as well. Sorry about your stores. And let's see how large... Where is it? Okay, waste transfer facility going on the corner there. Sorry everyone. We'll see how that affects things. I like the radius there, because that's not actually touching any residential. Maybe a bit of noise pollution is touching residential, but that's okay. I'll be mindful of that on this side, hopefully, as well. I'm also going to take the liberty of removing current trash facilities. I'd like to see how those two affect things. And of course, we're going to have to build the large building as well. So the way that this works is the small buildings, this one and this one, the waste transfer facilities, hold the garbage until it can be collected by the waste processing complex, which is very loud and very dirty. So that will have to go, not on the island, but maybe here, maybe somewhere. Even if I end up moving the thing, I can put it back in here, and it can use this connection to get to both sides, and then to get back again on the highway or on these roads. Whatever's good. Position is subject to change. But here's what we'll do. This was always going to happen. We'll address the rail later. Just going to get rid of a bunch of trees here. Trees getting in the way. And for now, I'm not even going to bother to build a road off of this. I'm just going to throw this at the end of this road and kind of hope for the best. As long as it's not touching any buildings, as long as the radius surrounding it, the noise and pollution, which are about to be quite prevalent. I'll move it later, but for now, as an experiment, I think this will be useful. So let's find the other trash facilities. This is an incinerator. This is an incinerator. That is a complete trash overhaul. So let's unpause and see that these buildings light up purple. And you too? You too? They don't have water. They don't have power. Okay. The things that I should foresee that I do not foresee. That probably does it for that building. They should be okay. This one, what do we need? We need, are you sure? Well, okay. So this one, let's bridge the gap with... Do we need offices? I built a few offices, and they seem to be doing okay. Do we need offices, or... Let's do some houses, actually. Let's just throw in houses. No, let's not throw in houses. Commercial. Commercial along the way to connect the power. And maybe low-density commercial along the road, because that's been the trend that I've been doing. That's worked well for us. Low density along the big major roads. So let's give this a chance to grow in. There we go. We've got power. The trucks are headed out. Let's see how that affects things. So before we had two recycling centers and two incinerators, I believe were the entirety of the waste processing that we were doing. Perhaps a third waste transfer facility up in the current industrial area would make sense. Do we still have a landfill? This says landfill usage 12% and it's going up. Do these count as landfills, I wonder? Oh no. 40%, 48%. Oh god. Oh, and the landfill usage went down. So that must be every time. I'm learning a lot right now. These trucks, the large trucks, let's see if we can get an eye on it. So these are going to our waste transfer facilities, but I believe that this counts as a landfill in the meantime. And then this just has massive processing power. I wonder if this has a power element to it, now that I've said power. It does produce power. And it's just within range of the thing. Okay, that's fun. But yeah, very nice. Are we out of water for real? Yeah. Oopsie daisy. Nice job. Okay. So what this tells me is that this area is not doing super great on trash. Oh. I think this area deserves its own. As long as it's industrial, it deserves one of these. So that we can get our coverage squared away. So let's reinstate, perhaps on this corner here where there used to be something else. The incinerator, I think. Let's do one of these guys. Ooh. Or maybe we don't need it. I might just let it run for a little bit and see if these fill up, or see if the amount of garbage vehicles is insufficient somehow. I think our budget is medium, and I'd like to keep it that way. I'd like to keep the budget at 100% and not mess around. Let's just see if this settles down and if the trash goes away, or if I have to add another building. I think the trash is solved for now. I think. So here's what's happened. I did end up adding the third waste transfer facility, so 1, 2, 3 within the city. There's still the waste processing complex outside of the city, or on the other side of the highway. I also added a supplemental recycling center next to the waste processing complex, excuse me, words, and a recycling center across the highway on the island also. You'll see that our landfill usage, these do count as landfills. They are very low pollution landfills, effectively, that can go next to houses, and that's totally fine. And you can even see it here. Check this out. If you go into the pollution view and zoom in, they don't seem to cause any discernible amount of ground pollution. The pollution is very local to the building itself, especially when compared to these buildings, or even the recycling center is filthy in comparison. This is not bad at all in terms of ground pollution. The one added thing that I'm going to do just to get garbage processing within spec, the only buildings that are doing processing are the processing complex and the recycling centers. These have garbage reserves that they can process, though very slowly. Our processing is just below where it should be, so I'm actually going to turn on recycling. Oh, the budget is also neutral. The budget is at 100% for garbage. That is fine. I'm going to turn on recycling, and that will actually put our garbage processing status within spec. If only just. If only just. So our production, we are producing over 200,000 units of garbage per week, but our processing capacity is 240 units per week. So that's a good enough rate where, at least for the current composition of our city, we are now keeping up. I'd love to not use the recycling centers, but I'm also not ready to commit to a second waste processing complex. One more thing to keep in mind is that turning up the budget does not affect processing. As far as I can tell, let's observe our garbage processing is 207. I'll turn up the budget. Oh, I was wrong. I didn't know. Okay, so change of plans. Forget the recycling centers. I think that with the budget turned up in our current configuration, I think we'll be fine. So garbage processing is going to go down a bit. Yeah, that puts us in a really good spot, actually. So recycling on with the budget turned up, our tax revenue will take a hit, but we've got $5 million in the bank. So really, I don't think it's that terrible. We are paying a similar amount for trash to our unique building budget, which both are higher than our education budget. But that's fine. We're floating around $8,000 worth of income. I think that's an okay solution when looked at holistically. We're covering all the different areas and we're keeping up in terms of processing, and we only have one dirty building doing the whole thing, and it's not even within the city limits as discerned by the highway. I'm pretty happy with that solution, actually. That works for me. Our island is still lacking some services, so I'm going to add a fire department just so it's within range. Like right now we have 2 fire departments. I would call this one our industrial fire department, and this one is serving the entire southern half of the peninsula. So let's do a fire department in this area. And I'm going to put it right sort of central to the entire western side of the island. So now it's within range of all these places. Of course, we're going to have some buildings level up from this probably, but I sense that that's kind of far. If there's a fire here, neither of these are going to reach very effectively, so that's a bit better. It also might make sense to have a medical center over here. I'm somewhat inclined to actually move this one over to the other side. Like, let's just take this one and we'll pay the money to transport it over here. Maybe on the corner here. I would like it to be closer, so I am going to use some move it there. That's fine with me. That'll cover this entire island, probably. The only reason that I have an extra medical facility up here is because all of these red buildings are on the edge of industry. So the pollutionometer will show that people hate it here. My God, what a terrible... This is the less expensive part of town. Eventually, industry will be kicked out or replaced or something like that, but I think that's much better coverage-wise. And the fire is solved. So let's look at our demand right now. We have a lot of office/industry demand. I'm thinking we should do offices. I'm saying this whole section right here gets to be offices. And then this section right here gets to be high-density commercial. So we've got a nice little shopping/office mixed use, except for residential. But everybody's within walking distance. This area can walk to here. This area can walk to here. No doubt there will be residential on the eastern side of the eastern island. That looks good to me. A few trees are also in order, in my opinion. So content creator trees. Let's do the pine tree. So maybe just in the backyard here. Just so it doesn't look so empty. We don't have to fill everything in with roads, but there should be something. That looks good. Now this area, I'm going to leave it on 3-speed right now because I want to see how everything grows in. That looks very complete to me. That looks nice. Hopefully we can sustain these office buildings, because as I keep checking our education level, you'll notice, or if you've been playing the game a while, you know that the orange bar is industry and office demand. The only way to discern between the two is actually education level. So high-density commercial and offices both require highly educated citizens, and we have 17% right now. In the future, the uneducated populace, generation after generation, should lean more towards highly educated. But for now, I think we're pretty proportionate in having this be high-density commercial and high-density offices. I don't want to overdo it. You never want to overdo it. You just want to have enough workplaces for the educated in your city to work. And you can see they're all leveling up very quickly, so this is good. And looking over here, this looks like it could use some extra trees. I was going to do parking there, but no longer. These backyards, a couple extra trees. I'm getting too many frames right now. My frame rate is too high. Get some more polygons on the screen. This one looks good. It would also make sense to do like basketball courts and soccer fields and stuff like that. Let's see what I have in terms of that, and we'll see if we can't do like a sports complex would be a very, very good thing for this part of the city. Looks good. Cool. I like it. I like it. Good. So maybe this area is our sports complex. Now that I've said that, now that that idea has reached the air, let's see what we have. Certainly we have basketball courts. Oh, we got parking lots. What is this? Chirper balloon tours. Oh no, not for me. Basketball courts can go back in here. We can do a small complex of them, in fact, in anticipation of there being a residential area right next to it, probably. But yeah, basketball court would make sense. What else might make sense? Skate park. Ooh. I don't know if I want it to be any of the park life parks necessarily. Not a zoo. Not a nature thing. But let's look into a bit of a sports complex. Oh, there's also like the health buildings. We could do the health club, all that type of thing. It really wants to be elevated here, and I really do not want that to be the case. I'm going to turn off road collision so that we don't destroy the rock, first of all. I'm going to go past that, and we are going to adjust. Let's adjust this whole situation based on where that road hits. So now we're going to 90 degrees back this way, off of that road. Nice. And then whatever this curve is, I will respect, and we'll go for it. 7 units, 60 meters, 8 units, 65 meters. That's very close, so that works for me. Looking good, looking good. And I never addressed this. Cool. That all makes sense to me. That makes a bunch of sense. What's the distance here? 33, so about midway is like here. I might change this, but for now that looks good. So let's do the basketball court. That's what started this whole fiasco, was the idea that we should have some sports. Maybe the basketball courts go next to the rock. No relation. Nice. Couple of basketball courts. Let's look into a health facility of some sort. So this is a child healthcare center. This is a good building to cover residential with. Like if I put it here, that would be like a birth boom. Maybe someday. There's also the elder care, which is which keeps the elders in your city alive for longer. But then there's health buildings. This is Better Health Toolbar, by the way. Just like how I have Better Roads Toolbar that looks like this. Better Health Toolbar. I can't wait for Better Schools Toolbar. If that comes out, let me know, please. But it breaks this up into recreational care. So we've got a sauna. What's the biggest of these? Sports hall and gymnasium. Community pool. The pool would be good across from the basketball courts, right? And a yoga garden. Let's keep it healthy. Sports hall and gymnasium. Where's this going to go? Well, I liked the pool across from, maybe across from the hoops and across from the rock. No relation. That looks good. Looks like a good hangout. Paths would be in order too. So maybe we move each of these over one unit so that we can then run paths across. Now, which path? I was using the Park Life path earlier, so I think I'll stick with that probably. Gorgeous. Gorgeous is overstating it, but it looks pretty good. Yeah. That is right. That's all correct as far as I'm concerned. And then, so the pool is in this spot. That's kind of cool. What else did we have? Oh, the healthcare. The yoga garden. I don't like the yoga garden as much. But the sports hall would be very cool in this spot too. Sports hall and gymnasium. I like that, right off the road. So the sports hall and gymnasium are there on the left, but there's recreational basketball courts and a swimming pool over there. That's at least a good starting point for this area. Now that we've done that, let's look into... Let's do some low-density residential on this corner here, and then high-density residential... No, I take it back. Let's do low-density... Oh, What to do. I'm not sure that I want this whole thing to be high-rises is the thing, or even mid-rises. But maybe I want some of it to be. So let's just do it. Let's get over myself. Low-density... along there, low density along here. For commercial, we're going to have a lot of commercial demand, so that's all fine with me. And then maybe there's low density residential right next to the community pool, just to fill in the space nicely. Perhaps here as well. It'll be a bit more dynamic than just having high-rises all over the place. But then, when they least expect it, you blast them with high-rises. And that is how it's going to be, unless I hate how it looks. But we'll let that grow in, and we'll check in on it in just a second. Huzzah! We've reached Capital City, 24,000 population. That is a good-sized city. Ships are now usable. We get another unlockable area. I'm not sure how many we have saved up, so we have at least one new unlockable area to add to our city. University campus, that's cool. Education policy, university paths, harbor, water treatment, football stadium. The stadium would be very useful. We don't have any sports complexes yet, but 24,000, that's really great, actually. I was looking over here as I know I said I was letting this area grow in. I still am. That was like a minute ago, real time. But I wanted to look at this because it's like exporting. It's cool how it... there's oil products, and I didn't know that this converted things into products, but apparently it does. Let me hover this. Into energy and recycled materials. So I feel like this almost renders the recycling center useless, because it does export and import, or rather export. So it locally produces oil and other materials. Whatever, I digress. 24,000 is great. We are 24 and trending up. This area is growing in. It's not exactly a park, but it is a good, like, it does have good community facilities and things like that, and some shorter, more dynamic buildings for an area that's maybe older, that's stuck around for longer. But it looks really great to me. I am happy with our beginnings on the island, and we'll have to see how the island shapes up, and also how this area connects to the rest of the buildable area inside of the highway. That's going to be very interesting. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out. This is a Benton is a blast, and I intend to continue until the Beltway has been essentially filled in with houses and people and activities and parks and whatnot. It's going to be one of the bigger cities I've ever built, so it should have a pretty high population by the end. As I said earlier, I stream on Twitch. I actually built this interchange on the island over on Twitch a few days ago, so feel free to come by for a stream if you'd like. We also have a Discord community on our Discord server, so feel free to join YUMBL Corp if you want to share your city or ask some questions. I'm in there all the time. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out. I've been YUMBL. I'll see you in the next stream or the next video.